Hi everyone, welcome to Chicago, which is where I am today for this incredibly special Horn Hangout. The last time we were in this room, I was in Berlin and we were running a virtual hangout here at Symphony Center in Chicago to say goodbye to Dale Clevenger, who had just celebrated his final retirement concert, and it was incredible. There were horn players from all over the world we beamed in, and I felt like I was there even though I was sitting in Berlin. But the Horn Hangout technology has come a long way since then, and I'm here along with handsome Tim, who came all the way from Melbourne, and we are here with this group of incredible horn players. They are really, for me, one of the best horn sections in the world. A big welcome to the Chicago Symphony Horn Section. Yay! Big round of applause all over the world. If people were here, they'd be applauding as well. So we have Susanna, Dan, Dave, Odo, and Jim. Can I say Jim or can I say James?
Jim.
Jim is much better. Does anyone ever call you James?
Not
Apart
really.
from your mother?
No, not really.
And we have people watching from all over the world. And I just love this. Do write in, tell us where you're watching from, and send us your questions. I'll get to as many as I can. But all of us have a special message for a very special horn player called Hannah. Dan, tell us about Hannah.
Hannah Waters was a very special Make-A-Wish friend of ours. She came to Chicago when she was just in high school and played chamber music with us, and we had a wonderful afternoon with her. And we've kept in touch a little bit, but we haven't seen her lately. So I hope you're watching and listening, Hannah, and if not, you can catch it on YouTube, and we'll catch up with you later.
And that was her wish, her Make-A-Wish. What did the Make-A-Wish Foundation make possible? Anything?
They do amazing things.
She could have met Justin Bieber, but she wanted to meet you guys.
She wanted to have a chance to play with the horn section, so she sat in on a rehearsal with us.
That's fantastic. Well, let's hope she's happy and healthy, and hope that she's watching. So a big hello to Hannah. But there's someone else watching who gets an equally hello, big hello. Dale Clevenger is watching in Bloomington, Indiana. Hello, Dale.
Hey, Dale.
It's an honor to have him with us today. So do send in your questions for the horn section, Dale. I think Jeff Nelson dragged Dale along and has sat him in front of the computer. So Dale and Jeff, hi to you. And yeah, so let's get going. You guys have actually, you are such a long-standing horn section. You know, it's not, I'm not saying you're old or anything, you know, but you have been playing together in this formation for how long? Susanna, how can we work that out?
Well, I'm the newest member.
You're the new girl. But how long have you been here?
12 years.
Yeah?
Yeah, so not so new.
but still, that's quite incredible for a horn section. Most horn sections have people coming and going. Mm-hmm. And so when you came, Dale was still principal horn, mm-hmm. and but it was it was all the same, yeah? Right. When did you came?
2000.
2000, that's when we met.
Right.
Oh, you have to say, du musst einen guten Tag, guten Abend wünschen für die Deutschsprachigen.
Ja, guten Abend für die deutschen Leute. Freut uns, dass ihr bei uns seid.
Not bad, eh? You studied in Berlin with
Seifert.
Gerd Seifert, my goodness. And you
Seifert.
still remember your German. You've been helping some kids with their homework on tour, I saw on online.
That's right. One boy, yeah.
And so, yeah, how about you, actually? We've got people watching in South America, so what do we say to them?
Saludos de Chicago aquí, por todos los latinos que están oyendo.
Vale? Oh, you don't say vale, do you?
No, no say vale.
What do you say instead of vale?
Está bien.
Está bien.
Sí.
The Cubans say agua.
Agua.
Yeah, they
Water.
do. Yeah, water. I don't know why. When everything's great,
agua could be something
it could be
else
something
too.
else. I know. All right, moving swiftly along. Dave, what language would you choose?
Well, my people from rural Indiana speak American.
Speak American.
Yeah.
American. Good. Oh, Julie Lansman is watching in New York City. Julie, we've got something to tell you. These guys are playing at Carnegie Hall on Friday night, and I've just invited them all to your party. Is that okay?
Oh.
Julie and I are doing a horn hangout on Friday night, and at Juilliard School, and it's going to be a live opera horn hangout, and she's bringing along all her Met girls. You know, it's a tribute to the legacy of her teaching, and they're all girls. It's great. Yeah. So they'll all be coming along, and the students will be playing some opera excerpts, and afterwards it's a party, and Julie, They're all invited. You can come? Great. Good. So here we go. We've got people watching New York, Bloomington, New York. Really, it's quite incredible. Mexico. Oh, that's good. Amber Dean. Amber said that was good for the.
Good.
Good. So I'm going to leave these questions for a while and get back to mine. You guys have been in this section for 12 years.
12 years, 2000.
Dan, you are the longest standing member, 40 years?
A little over 40, yes.
That's
How many over 40?
how many over 40, Dan? The last?
Seems like yesterday.
And didn't you start on last chair?
And now, Dave, we know there is no last.
I was just about to say, Dave, what do you mean about last chair? But I have seen some pictures. We have a great archive of, thanks to the Chicago Symphony archive, we have some great photos on tap, which Handsome Tim is just going to blend in and out of the pictures. And we've got some of you playing fourth horn.
Yes.
So you did start not on the last chair. It's on the most important chair, right, Dave?
I did play fourth horn for 15 years, but I didn't start there. I was assistant utility for 3 years.
But that's why you're such a good first horn player, because you've got such a good low range. That's what we always say.
I don't know. It's just been great fun to get a change of scenery without having to move.
So you went for, without having to move house. So it is a bit of a change. Don't you find if you sit in a different chair, the scenery looks different? I mean, you're utility, and you're utility as well. So to explain what utility, how would you explain utility to people watching? Because they think it's a bumper, but it's not really.
Well, it's different in this section than any other because we've got 2 of us, and when we have 6, he was third associate, so he would move over to play principal, and we'd fill in the third. So we were utility with a lot of third thrown in on stuff that he would play.
Okay, so you went to third, and then how long have you been playing principal?
Well, Dale retired. It's going on 5 years, so 4.5 anyway.
But you played first a lot before.
Oh, I was associate.
Associate, because I remember that.
2002.
And I remember the Bruckner 8 when you were on first tuba, when I came on tour with you guys, and I remember afterwards Daniel Barenboim coming to you and saying, "Dad, your tuba playing is like a human voice," and he was just so. And we
Maybe
thought,
he
well,
just said that to you.
no, he said that to us. Don't you remember him saying that, or maybe
I don't remember any.
First
You're going to have a hard
just sort
time
of.
with this question.
Dave, how about you? You were principal horn all over the place.
My previous job before here was associate principal in Houston and associate principal in Montreal.
A lot of the Montreal horn players, I was just in Montreal this weekend doing their Horn Days festival, which is fantastic, and they all send a big hello. They still
Sweet.
consider you one of theirs.
Oh, that's nice.
But he gave me some great tips for bagels. Did you know that Montreal is famous for bagels?
Yeah, no,
But
we didn't.
I sent him a picture of one of the bagel shops,
the
no
best
sign,
one.
and you knew
Yeah.
exactly where I was.
Yeah, sure.
So from Montreal, from Principal Horn, you came. Why did you make that promotion?
Chicago has always been Mecca for me. The sun rises and sets over Chicago in terms of the brass section and the quality of the orchestra. So it was just an amazing opportunity to come here. When I joined the horn section, 3 of my former teachers were colleagues all of a sudden, and that was just a thrill beyond all
Those 3
belief.
being?
Dan, Norm Schweikert, and Dale.
We have some pictures of Norman Schweikert. When I played here, he was still playing second horn,
Yeah.
wasn't he? And I just remember his absolute calmness, but his crazy warming up.
Yeah.
Norm would just, you couldn't, even if a bomb exploded, he'd still finish his warm up.
Right.
You couldn't budge him. But apparently he was an amazing teacher. So when was that exactly?
It was 1995. Yeah, I studied with Norm a little bit in college, and he was just very thorough in lessons. He wanted the technique really solid, and he insisted that you play slow renditions perfectly before moving on to faster renditions, and it just made so much sense.
What was it like playing in a horn section with 3 of your teachers?
It was really fun.
Did they leave you alone, or
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They did. I
Yeah.
think you should have done that.
Yeah.
worthy of being left alone.
Yeah. But what I love about what you do is you're an example for us all, for low horns, because you do recitals and you play first horn. I was in LA a few weeks ago playing with the LA Phil, and they were waxing lyrical about Dave's first horn playing. And I had to play first horn in one of the pieces, and I almost died. It was terrifying. But you do the whole program. Impressive. And also, I must say, this morning when I was YouTubing everyone, I found your recital. And there's some beautiful pieces on that, so I can really recommend I can really recommend you guys that. Go to YouTube, watch your recital from last year, was it?
This past September.
September.
I played one of your transcriptions, the
You
Claire de
did.
Lune.
I was honored to hear that. But you also played with your son, Henry.
Yeah.
I was very touched by that.
Yes.
That was lovely to see. But you use your recitals as a way to get back into shape.
That's
don't
right.
you?
I caught my annual recertification to be a professional horn player.
Most other horn players I know get back into shape with Netflix and practice mute, so they don't have to listen to it. Great. Odo, you came from one of your first jobs. I just have to say before I forget that is where my brother is chief conductor now.
That's right.
In South Bend,
That's right.
and Alistair's watching, so I'm sure he'll be
good.
very proud.
Yeah.
But that's just not far from here, is it?
No, it's about 100 miles. It's pretty
And
close.
before that was Civic, and before that was
I was in Cedar Rapids, where Dan's daughter is right
Where's
now.
that?
It's in Iowa,
Iowa.
in the middle of Iowa, sort
It's
of.
rather chilly there at the moment.
Probably,
Yes.
yeah. But that was my first job, and then,
Was that principal horn?
no, third. And then I won second horn in South Bend, and then I won principal horn in a very, very small orchestra, and then the CSO. So I never really made my way up the ladder too much. I started at the bottom
And finished at
and
the
climbed
top.
at the top.
Yeah, but that's great. And what year did you join?
2000.
2000. Great. And utility, is that a good job or does it suck?
I love
Be
it.
honest,
I
because
really like it.
you never know, and you
Right.
always have to be flexible.
That
and
part of it
what-
is difficult, but it's great to have the challenge to play up and down, to have new assignments. We don't get to play the same parts every time that a piece repeats. It's really wonderful. So I can't pigeonhole myself being a high player or being a low player. Maybe that's the consequence of that, but I feel like I can do both of them equally okay.
The questions are going to come in and say, equally okay?
Yes.
Is he equally okay? Is
Yeah,
that
he's
He's
okay.
just
okay.
yeah.
There's a video of you on YouTube, the Dream.
The Dream Out Loud.
Dream Out Loud,
Yeah.
and you play the beginning of Strauss 1. I mean, it must have been one of the best beginnings of Strauss 1 I have ever heard.
Oh, well, thank
You guys got to, if anyone can put in any of the links of the stuff we're talking about here in the chat, that would be great. Some people are having a few problems watching, it's the jet lag, sorry guys. Watching, Tim, do you have any tips for them if they just have to refresh the
Probably
page?
can't hear us if they're not watching it, but they can watch it in Facebook. as well.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so if people are doing their washing and want to watch it, yes, we're going in Facebook too, but please don't send the questions to Facebook because I can't answer them. But here, all the questions, fantastic. This Dream
Out Loud?
Dream Out Loud, the video. Please watch it. His beginning of Strauss 1, and you can hear everything. The low F. He started, and I was like, okay, let's wait for the lower F. And it went bum ba ba, and I was like, yeah, okay, he's gonna go ba, and he went ba. That was pretty. Where was that recorded? Pretty good
I think
audio
in
on
John
that.
Hegstrom's studio at the Fine Arts Building. Yeah, he did that. John Hegstrom's our second trumpet
Yeah.
player, and he's a master with all that sort of multimedia, much like what's set up here. He had different camera angles, and
Yeah.
he didn't do makeup though, so that's the one thing.
They got a bit of powder
If
on
you
their
watch
hands,
that,
yeah.
be easy on me.
You weren't in hair and makeup before, and I
Right.
thought you looked pretty good. You
Thank
sounded great
Oh,
anyway.
thank you.
So, yeah, someone's just posted the Dream Out Loud video, so
good.
everyone can watch that. The questions will come in. How do you keep in shape for high and low?
Good question, boy. I mean, Sue, we talk about this all the time. What do we do when we're not playing here and all that sort of thing? I'm becoming more of a routine guy as I get older. You know, with Dale being such a big influence on me. Hi, Dale.
Yeah.
And when I was in Civic, he would say, you know, you should be able to play at any moment without a warm-up. And so I sort of took that to heart and try to do that. But now that I'm getting older, doing everything that we do up and down. I feel like maybe because I am getting older. I have to do more of a...
pretty good.
Thank you.
Let's just say that. If you guys
She's
agree,
good.
let us know.
No, I'm
He's the baby. Okay, all right. So that's enough about getting older.
no, I feel like I should I do more of a concentrated warm-up at home, and
You're at home warm-upper.
I am a home warm-upper, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
and then they
the
come in and
comfort
they
of that.
unpack their horns, these at home and you just think, gosh, they're sounding good today, but they've already warmed up.
Well. So I don't know. I mean, specific things I have to do. I'm doing more mouthpiece buzzing nowadays too. That's I know that I preach that too as my teaching, but you know how it is. You tell somebody something, and then you're like, you know what? That's probably a good idea. I should probably do more of that myself.
It happens every masterclass. Is it the same with you guys? The more you tell the others what to do, the more you think, I should be doing that. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll get back to that because I'm interested to hear what you do as well. But Jim, we said you studied in Berlin.
I did.
And then before Berlin, what was before Berlin?
Northwestern.
Northwestern. So you were born and bred Chicagoan.
Yep.
And it was your dream. I remember when I came here to play with you guys at Ravinia, and you hadn't got the job yet.
Right.
But it was just, you were just burning for it. That was his job. That was your dream. Incredible. So it was really dream the dream. That's what happened to you. Tell us about that.
Well, I was a substitute with the orchestra for 14 years. And went to
14 years.
14 years, and auditioned in there a few times, and went in 1989, played in Philharmonia Ungarica, was principal horn, and played for a year in San Francisco.
Philharmonia Ungarica, and that's in the middle of Germany somewhere.
Right, in Marl.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, they worked hard, that orchestra.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was monster programs and not a lot of money, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, and then Berlin? Berlin was before.
1980 studied with Seifert in Berlin, and then in 1989 was in Germany in Marl, and was back in Chicago and playing extra with the symphony and teaching and freelancing, and played for a year in San Francisco, and then the following year won second horn position here.
I find it incredibly hard to play auditions for people that you know and love. That was my biggest challenge when I did the audition for the Berlin Phil, because I'd been in my job for 10 years at the opera, and I played extra. You know, those are the highlights of my seasons, were to get to play extra a couple of times. But then to go out there and stand on the stage, you were behind a curtain though, weren't you?
Well, for the preliminaries, yeah, but not in the finals.
And tell us.
Well, everybody knows.
Had a good day, yeah.
Everybody knows you. Generally speaking, if you're a local person auditioning, it's difficult because they know your good things and the things that they would like you to do better, and you just have to try to dispel what maybe been stuck in their mind. I'm looking at Dan because he heard many auditions, and Dave, and you just try to have your good day and have it all work out.
Well, you did, and that was really a total dream. And then you have a year tenure or 2 years tenure here. How does that? Not tenure.
It's a 2-year probation process. It can.
People say they got tenure. Sorry, these are
right.
We say on trial.
Yeah, you could be on probation for 2 years.
On probation.
Yeah, you'll have a review after a year. Yeah. But
after 14 years, surely you knew what you were getting, right?
We had a very good idea.
So how long was your probation in the end?
A little under a year.
Okay, so they made you sweat a little bit.
Yeah, about 11 months. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, I mean, you guys are such a solid section, and coming in, and I mean, a lot of the legacy. One of the most famous horn pedagogues in the world was in your orchestra, Philip Farkas. When did do you remember any dates? From when to when was he here? Sorry to land you in it if you don't.
There was 2 times that he was here,
right.
So and they weren't there long. 4 years at one point, and
left in '58. Does it sound about right?
I thought he might have played a little longer than that.
Maybe 60.
We have a picture of him next to
Frank Brauch.
Frank Brauch, and even if you didn't know it was him, all horn players would recognize his smile from all those funny photos in his book. All the pictures of the embouchures. Yeah. That for me, that's a Bible. That book. I still love that warm up, and you're right. As I get older too, I find I have to warm up a little bit more and a little bit different. Any second horn warming up tips you can give us? And then I'm going to get to all these questions here because they're all coming in loud and strong.
I'll say Norman was my teacher at Northwestern as well as with Dave, and so of course we all had a copy of his warm up and we had heard it, and I still do some of those things. But I was also a student of Dale, who had strongly advised that we'd be able to play without doing any kind of warm-up at all. So I just do...
Dale has just written in, hey Dale, he's written, Odo, great, more mouthpiece buzzing.
I never heard Dale say mouthpiece buzzing. I never heard that.
Maybe it's yeah.
So just a mixture of things. I do a little bit of Norman's warm-up and just kind of my own things, and just actually I do it on the minimal side just to kind of assess where you are for that day and what you have to play, and just go up on the stage.
Yeah. Sue? Susanna. Am I allowed to call you Sue, or do you prefer it when people call you Susanna?
No, any part of Susanna
or hey
works.
you,
That's fine.
Susan.
That works.
How about utility warming up?
Well, I have found so far that I have certain routines. Right now I'm doing a Doug Hill rendition, but every so many years...
Doug Hill from L.A.? Where's Doug Hill from? Wisconsin. Okay, there's another Doug in
Hall.
L.A.
Doug
Hall, sorry. Hill, Hall. Sorry, either of you are watching, sorry.
Doug Hall.
I just saw,
San Francisco.
that's right, there's a Hull as well.
Yes.
Doug Hall was just in L.A. at our masterclass, came and played with us. So. Okay,
fun.
so Doug Hill. Huh. Doug, you have a warm-up from Doug Hill.
Yes, maintenance and
Okay.
warm-up routines.
Okay.
And there's, you know,
Is it published? Can we
Yeah.
find it?
Mhm.
Did Norm ever publish his?
No,
Couldn't we get him to do that?
it's on an old blue mimeograph
Yeah, but he needs to.
sheet of paper,
We
not
need
even
to.
a photocopy.
We need to get it out there, really, because it's got some great stuff in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. Let's get on to that. Yeah.
I find that every so many years, say 5, 6 years, or sometimes shorter, I have to throw everything out that I'm doing and start again with a routine. So right now I'm using the Doug Hill. I've used it for a while, but I interject some other things too.
What's important for you?
Flexibility. I'm a
Yeah.
muscly player, so
Yeah.
I need flexibility.
Okay. Muscly player. I like that.
I get tight very fast.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I get tired. I had to play high horn. That's why. No, but I agree. Flexibility is. That's why the Jeff Bryant. Did you ever meet Jeff Bryant, a London horn player? He goes da 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 every day, and he's a stairwell warm-upper. So he'll disappear into a stairwell and do these flexibility exercises. And I heard them sort of floating out one day, and I thought I'm going to do that. And since then, I think it's important for the low horn players, especially as second horn, also to get up and down.
Yeah.
Too much flexibility for fourth horn gets me to, you need more bite, no?
Sure.
Bite.
Yeah.
So that's important. That's important for you. There's a question that's come in. There's actually lots of questions. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting to your questions now. I'm just too interested in what's going on here. Amy Kruger says, yes, please, Jim. Norma's warm-up would be wonderful. So there we go. We want that out there. Tracy M. Where are you from, Tracy? Let us know. What horn is everyone playing on these days? So let's go around the circle.
I have a Lewis, and then I have also a triple, which is a
Carl Hill.
Carl Hill.
Cordismaki.
Yeah.
A what?
Cordismaki. It's from Carl Hill. He lives in Grand Rapids.
Hill.
Hill.
Yes,
yeah.
another Hill.
There's another Hill.
All my questions are going to answer with Hill.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And do you use both in the orchestra?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan?
Lewis also, and Paxman triple.
Paxton triple for the pearly stuff.
I have two horns, Lewis horn, which is here, and I use for
We had it.
most of my fourth horn playing, and I also have a Lucas horn from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
It complements that horn really well.
Yeah. So you play both at the same time.
Yeah.
You're right. What if?
I'm the same as Sue. I have a Lewis horn and I have the triple from.
Well,
Carl Hill.
Tracy asked, so you will play con 8Ds, so you obviously don't.
No, we don't play
You
18s.
obviously don't.
No.
Maybe
Long time ago.
about 50 years ago, right. I play a Lewis horn. I own several, but the only one I've ever used on stage is a Lewis horn.
Okay,
Actually,
mouthpieces?
it's true. This-
Yeah, I was going to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Wayne Barrington, who played third horn a long time ago, said that for one entire season, the section played 8
All
Ds.
I sort of remember there was a Chicago 8D connection. Okay, but not anymore. Not anymore. Kylette is watching from LA, and she's a very good friend of mine, horn player from Venezuela, and she says, flexibility, yay! So it's good, very important flexibility. Tracy is from Brattleboro, Vermont.
Oh.
So good, thank you for your question. Jeff from Chicago says, thank you for the Mahler 5 a week ago. It was fantastic. I caught Mr. Gingrich on the L train after the concert and wanted to come up to you and tell you how much I enjoyed your solo. And he obviously didn't, but he saw you on the L. Oh,
I spend a lot of time on the L.
is Mary watching? Your wife, Mary?
has a busy day, but
okay, well, we'll say
she'll
hello to
catch it
Mary
later.
for when she does watch.
Yeah.
Okay, and Sue?
She's running kids around on errands right now.
Okay,
You
and
know,
anybody
lessons
else got family
things like
watching?
that. Nope.
I told you,
My parents, I think.
your parents are watching.
think so.
Jim's
My sister
parents.
Mary is
son.
watching.
Your sister
Yeah,
Mary's
from,
watching. Sister
Wisconsin.
Mary.
My children might be.
The children are watching. Write in and tell us. We want to see this.
I'll say hi to my kids, but they probably won't see it because Dad's not so
Dad's
cool.
not cool. No. How about you?
My parents, my mom, my dad's probably working.
That's so nice. I hope my mom's watching. She's looking after my nephew at the moment. Is my iPad upside down? Somebody said.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. There you go. I tell you, the Horn Hangout fans. Actually, I was going to put a Horn Hangout sticker here, but I forgot. Right. Okay. So. I can't remember. Oh, Sylvie from Montreal was happy that I was there, and she's hi to you and Montreal Horns. We love you, all of you that are watching. Somebody said, I'm hoping Sibelius 1 will be available soon. Did you guys do Sibelius 1? No.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah,
Yes, we
that's
did.
fall,
Okay,
but not
well,
recorded.
there we go. So,
Yeah, we played it. We didn't
We'll
record
be
it.
on the radio at some point.
what are you playing today?
What?
You guys are going on tour tomorrow. That's what the rehearsal was today.
Yes.
And your maestro Muti let you out early so that you could come to the Horn Hangout, or did he not? He did not know
Of
about
course,
the
of course.
Of course. And, right, okay, yeah, you're coming to New York, so we're going to see you then. Samuel Hampson from Lyric Opera of Chicago. The CSO Horn Section played an outstanding performance last Tuesday. Congratulations for the Mozart and Mahler Fifth. Hi, Samuel. You guys know him?
Yeah.
Isn't it nice that all these people are watching?
Obrigado.
Obrigada. Okay. French Horn 1 wants to know, how long does it take you to fully warm up? Dan, what would you say to that one?
The older I get, the longer it takes.
It's true, isn't it? I know I don't want to talk about getting older, but I really agree with you.
You mentioned flexibility. That was lucky for me, one thing that I was good at when I was young. But the older I get, I warm up very easily, make no demands, and a lot of rest in between, and just take my time with it, and that helps these days.
What do you do in the rest time? Do you still have cockatiels,
Anything.
birds? No, you don't.
Oh, we have a cat.
You have a cat now, okay.
She's sweet.
Oh, God. Annie, Carrie Smelser's watching. There she is. Okay, we need the mouthpiece question. Everyone wants to know about the mouthpieces. Lasky, you said?
A lot of us are playing Lasky's, right? Not Jim, though.
I play it's a copy that Yamaha made in 1995, and it's a copy of a Farkas mouthpiece, the original before he had medium cup, MDC, all that kind of stuff. So it's a little wider, it's a little bigger than a medium cup, and the rim is a little sharper, a little narrower.
Okay. And you
Essentially
guys have the
Farkas.
same, do I need, I don't know anything about mouthpieces. I just say if you find one that
Some
works.
secrets are better kept here.
Yeah, but people want to know. We want the secrets to be unveiled here.
I play a sort of a hodgepodge. I had Stuart Custom put together a Lasky cup with a Lawson rim.
Okay.
And I like a nice flat rim because I don't like it to bite into me. And I like a wider diameter cup as well.
Okay. For your muscly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I play a Lasky mouthpiece also, but I'd have to look at it to see if there's a number on it.
I love that. That's Dan, isn't it? It sounds amazing, but I don't know what it is that does that. Dave, you've got some secret?
Yes, the Lasky 725G.
Oh my goodness.
The manufacturer originally,
Oh,
he told me that the G stood for Griffin, but then Dan, it came out, he told Dan that the G stood for Griffin. I don't know who to push.
Do you change mouthpieces for when you go and play first horn?
No, not
You play
really.
first horn here sometimes too.
Yeah, all of us do.
Yeah, you all do. Gosh.
I
you're
choose
so-
not to, but
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, anyway.
it's available to all of us when he doesn't feel like playing.
Okay. You can pick and choose.
It's a great luxury.
Yes,
That's great. So you were the one that played first on Sibelius 1.
that's right.
That's right. That's what we've got to get the good. That's why someone wants the recording of it. Brianna, who's also a great Horn Hangout fan. Brianna, we're waiting for your selfie. If you guys are watching, we'd love to have a selfie of you, where you're watching from, and send it to us. # Horn Hangouts on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. some guy sent me a Horn Hangout hashtag, and he did a horn challenge upside down. He was hanging off one of those exercise things, and he played the beginning of Strauss 1 upside down. So,
Wow.
so yeah. So Brianna, waiting for your selfie. Anyway, she asks, and this is a great question because I really suffered from this in Montreal after just one day being there. Living in Windy City, how do you guys cope with chapped, windburned lips? Because in Montreal, it took one day, and it all started peeling off. Do you have any, does this happen to you?
For me, I'm probably the strangest person about that. I use absolutely nothing. In fact, for me, the hard thing is in the summer when it's hot and humid and mealy. So for me, when it's cold out, that's perfect. That's the protective layer.
We all look a little bit pained to hear that. Dave, how about you? What do you?
I found something Burt's Bees,
Burt's Bees.
and the eucalyptus variety. That's it.
Any chapped
Yes.
lips tips?
You know, it's funny. When I met my wife, who's a trumpet player, hi Sarah, if she's gonna ever see this.
Hi Sarah, you've got a nice name.
She and with an H as well.
With an H.
She got me addicted to Blistex, which is a brand of lip balm here, and
The orange one.
I have it in my pocket.
We're gonna do.
never leave without it. So-
Sponsorship.
Sponsorship. Blistex, if you're watching, would like you to sponsor the next
However,
Horn Hangout.
I have to say, so I got really addicted to it. You know, just I needed it all the time. But now I'm trying to get away from it. I'm playing more with that sort of shell or casing of chappedness. I'm getting used to it more.
So you're a dry player.
I like the inside dry and everything else.
Because
I'm sorry, the inside wet, but everything else dry. Yeah.
Because in Montreal they were saying, oh, if you're a wet player here, you know that's what causes all the trouble.
Right,
because
right.
your lips aren't like me.
Right.
I'm a totally wet player and licked my lips 100 times, and then they were bright red as if I was wearing lipstick within minutes. It was quite.
I played in Mexico a couple years ago, and that was challenging. It's super dry there.
In
And
Mexico?
Mexico City.
I would have thought it would be
high up elevation desert.
okay.
Yeah, very dry.
That's hard
Yeah.
to play anyway.
It was difficult. It was tough.
Okay, any more quick tips for chapped lips from you guys?
Nothing special.
Nothing special.
Chapstick in every coat pocket.
Yeah, every coat pocket, and it's very. You get the wind from every corner. We just turned the corner around by the bakery, and then it just hits you here. Yeah, it's not without, and you know where that is, so you walk with the. Yes. Okay. I like this question from DD. Who's DD, and where are you watching from? Did the teaching methods of Arnold Jacobs remain influential in the Chicago brass and the horns? You played with Jake.
Yes.
And I never met him in person, which I'm very sad about. I spoke to him on the phone and said, please, can I come and see you? And he said on the phone, I can tell you're pretty. That's why I'm really sorry, but I have no time this week. He did. He did. I was like, oh gee, thanks.
Well, I don't want to be guilty of heresy here, but there's so much talk about Jake and breathing. But his mantra was wind and song. And I think the song is ignored
Gets a bit
unnecessarily.
forgotten.
The wind is a necessity, and the goal is the song. And that was what he did on stage.
With
And,
with just half a lung.
yes, at the end,
Yeah.
yes. But very vocal style of playing, very singing. And that's what he left me with.
There is this thing worldwide about the Chicago breathing, about the upper body breathing. I remember the very first thing I came to play with you guys was Mahler, where there were hundreds of horns. I think it was Mahler, I don't know, 3 or something, 2. It was Mahler 2, that's right. And I was in the back row, and we were sitting in front of the brass. And I sort of turned up on stage, and I was sitting right in front of Charlie and Jean. Jean, who we have on a Horn Hangout in 2 hours from now. It's quite a long day for us, but looking forward to that. Jean Picorni, principal tuba, and they breathed in, and I literally felt my hair being sucked back into the brass because it was this, this huge, and that is what people think about. And I must say, it's helped me a lot to have learned that. I find as horn players, it's almost too much because I was splitting notes then left, right, and center once I'd learned it. But that's what most people think about or want to know about is all this Chicago breathing. So I'm happy you say that. Because your brass will still have that song in them as well.
We hope so.
Well, I think so.
Yeah, I think it's great to hear it described in many different ways, but Jake really did distill it down to something very simple for all of us to understand. But as a teacher, you want to try to express it several different ways, because you never know which words you use will click with an individual student. So, the more information, the more stories you hear about how Jake taught, you never know how that little bit of information is going to connect with somebody.
I found when I came here, I hadn't had much experience of playing with any girls, because I was the only girl in the horn section, and in those days there weren't that many girls playing horn. There were more in America. In fact, we have an old archive photo of a lady playing the French horn as part of the section. Now, who was she?
Well, Helen Cotis was principal horn.
That was, I was wondering, I didn't want to say the wrong name in case I looked silly, but we had this photo of her and surrounded by the section. Good for her. So it's really started.
And Nancy Faco was a member of the section.
I'll show you the photo, and then you can,
And then Gail Williams. And
of course, Gail. And
Kimberly
then,
Wright.
Kimberly was here too.
Houses, yeah.
So you had a much bigger tradition of girls in the horn section. And when I came here, it was fantastic then to meet Gail. And also Alice, Dale's wife, who I watched her breathe, and it was incredible. She just filled her entire upper body, and I didn't know about that. I must say, learning about that really, really helped. But it's not only upper body, is it? How?
For me, I can't do the big, quick breath because it locks me up. Like, it comes in, it stops, and then it has to come out again. So I have to do more
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you very aware of this tradition of Chicago breathing when you came?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I grew up in Chicago. I studied in Chicago, so I heard the whole thing. I never got a lesson with Jake, but I'd heard his, I'd read about it and saw the students that would do that too. It helped me quite a bit. Yeah. I don't know how I would vocalize it, just getting a good amount of air, of course, was the most important thing, because I think as students, a lot of times you take it for granted, so you don't really take a good, healthy amount of air. So that really helped me a lot, just to tank up.
Speaking of air, the air conditioning has just gone up full throttle. If you guys can hear that, I do apologize, but it fits perfectly to what we're talking about. So if you're hearing a lot of air conditioning,
it's not just us breathing.
Sorry about that. We're not practicing our breathing, but I'm quite happy about it because it's very warm in here. Is it disturbing your sound quality, Hanson Tim?
Everything's good.
Everything's good, right? He's giving the thumbs up, so everything's good. Abby would like to know your favorite Strauss tone poem. Jim can start, and the rest of you think of it.
I'll say Ein Heldenleben.
Yeah.
Just because of the memories of hearing the orchestra before I was in, and then having the chance to sit next to Dale and play it.
Yeah.
They're all great. Boy, I don't know. I think the politically correct thing would be to say aux Italiens in our orchestra, but perhaps Don Juan, since it's shorter and more kind of compact, I guess, and concentrated.
I love playing Don Juan.
Don Juan.
Fourth horn solo.
Yeah,
it's a lot trickier than it looks, that little fourth horn solo. It's fine at home, and then when you get there,
someone else can appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that one. We had it on tour in November. I had to play it like 9 times. At the beginning, I was like, oh, this is easy, and then by the 9th one, I was like, oh, the solo's coming. And it's not even, that important, but for us fourth horns, it's a big deal.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, you get my sermon on favorites.
Good. I'd like to hear your sermon. It's very difficult to say.
The greatest thing about being a member of an orchestra is that you don't have to have a favorite. The repertoire changes every week. The conductors change often. And we just move on from one thing to the next, and it's all wonderful.
Yeah. That's a very politically correct answer, but do you have a favorite anyway?
Well, if I had to choose one, it would probably be Heldenleben, because I have a lot of great memories. It was the first piece I played with this orchestra.
Oh, I know. I love that about music, that every time you get to a piece, you remember where you played it last, the piece that was in your youth orchestra. We're actually very lucky, aren't we? We are. How do you mentally prepare yourself for different styles of music? Those are quite hard questions to answer. Jack has also asked, any tips on nerves or composure on solo entries, it's fine in the practice room, but a different story on stage. These questions always come. And I'd just like to ask, I know we don't want to give away any home secrets, but everybody has a different way of dealing with you know, performance anxiety, and it's different for every one of us, how we are as a person as well. Are you very practical about it? Do you do yoga? What would you say?
Well, for me, I find that nothing beats nerves like preparation, like being in the practice room, making sure you're strong enough and know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest way.
I hear ya.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, do you even get nervous? You're so
my goodness.
you're so calm.
I think as I watch conductors, some of them.
You watch conductors?
Sorry,
Shame on you.
Some of them seem like they're putting on a show, and the more it's a show, the more I think you're going to get nervous. If the object is to serve the music, then I think you're in a different place.
I agree, but sometimes that's really hard. That's really hard. And when it gets really hard, and you can sit on stage and tell yourself, pull yourself together, you're supposed to be playing the music, and it doesn't quite work, what do we do then? Pray.
Turn it over to
Give the
Dave.
question.
I've got to think of something unique now. I would say in the practice room, try to incorporate breathing in time with the pulse. Make that a habit for your entrances, and that's something you can rely on in a performance.
That's something Dale did quite a lot, didn't he?
I think
Like
so.
I remember with Chike 5, I bumped him for that, and I noticed he was breathing in the rhythm of what was coming up, whether slow or fast.
Be an ally in performance.
But you need to practice it. You can't just do it on stage just because you just think it's a good idea.
Right.
That's a good
I think it's
tip.
important because then you internalize the pulse to it. It becomes a physical thing rather than just an abstract concept out there.
Well, now that we've gotten to play a little bit more principal, I mean, I will tell you that my nerves have never gone away, and sometimes they get worse, and they creep up in the most unlikely places. Like we're doing Gershwin, piano concerto in F, I believe it is. There's a third horn little thing. It's kind of bluesy, and it comes out of nowhere, but it happens right after a loud passage, so you're kind of keyed up. And first rehearsal, my heart was going like crazy on it. I'm just like, hold on. This shouldn't be that difficult, but the thing is, you're able to perform still with it. I don't mind that it's there, but I wish at certain times it was more balanced. Preparation, repetition for me, breathing, very relaxed. That helps, and then immersing myself in the music. That's the biggest thing.
That's what we all aim to do, and I'd love to say I do it all the time, but I sometimes don't, because sometimes it's just scary. And people, what I find often at master classes is that people don't believe that if you're in the Berlin Phil or in the Chicago Symphony, they think you don't get nervous anymore. And that's something that I think it's important for us to share with them, that it happens to us.
Well, I think you get nervous because you care about the impression, and you care that you do a good job. I mean, I think, as Sue said and Odo said, and I think we all agree that preparation is key. I mean, I know for me what would make me nervous if I feel unprepared, if I don't feel in shape, if I don't feel rested. So I always try to make sure I can have those things. But even still, as Odo said, something might come up and you feel a little keyed up. And for me, the way out of it is always is to play the phrase, play the long-reaching phrase that puts your concentration on the music and serve the music, and that will get you through. And always remember, it's a blessing to get to do this. It's not life and death. It's an honor to get to play this music, and it's over before you know it.
That's what Arturo Sandoval said 2 weeks ago when we had our hangout. He was just like, what a blessing to do this job. He said, we could have been driving trucks or cleaning the streets. He said, we get to play music. You just got to love it. And his enthusiasm was just so wonderful. And the next time I sat on stage and performed, I just thought, great, you know, and if you go on stage happy and grateful, you play better. But still, it's still helpful. The students are still thinking, oh, right, you know, but what can I do? Are you sporty? Because I find, you know, that's supposed to help. You guys a sporty bunch?
Dave, why don't we start?
Otto should answer that.
Oh, we'll start with Odo.
Why is everybody looking at me?
So we know the answer for everybody.
I'm
Except
pretty.
for auto.
I guess I'm pretty sporty still. I play a lot of basketball, which is antithesis to horn playing. But I have a special mask that has been made for
I was
me.
going to say, what happens
So
when you...
I did get hit a few times, several times
like
with
those
the ball.
football players, you know, with the...
Well, I tried that out. They have sort of a, what's it called?
Mouth guard?
Yeah, pacifier mouth guard that covers the lips,
Yeah,
but it's not going to do anything if someone elbows you. So I had a mask made for me, which looks kind of like a Hannibal Lecter sort of thing. But the people I play with are very nice about it.
If your wife's watching, would she send us a photo of it?
No, she doesn't know what it is.
A photo of Otto.
It's clear. It's kind of gruesome. And I play with it all the time. I've not gotten injured with it, so
Great.
it's been great. So,
Any other sporty people?
I like to run, but there hasn't been a whole lot of available time recently.
Yes.
It seems to become really busy. I wanted to say one more thing about nerves and something I've been thinking about a lot recently. And that is, if you are looking to lessen nerves, then one of the ways I think could be great is to stretch yourself so that you are put in an uncomfortable position on a regular basis. So
That's our job.
it's our job, but the more, I mean, I don't choose to play principal, they all do, so they're stretched that way.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about doing other things that, where I played children's concerts just with Dan and his wife and my husband before, and that was a good stretching opportunity where you're up close and personal with 40 little kids. And
Well, they're
it's
the
low-key,
hardest audiences,
but
aren't
it's also, there's nowhere to hide, you know, a 3 or 4 piece ensemble. So I think stretching yourself, playing for a church, playing for a community, playing for anywhere that you're going to be on the spot is helpful.
Yeah. Good. I know a group of horn players that go and play for old people's homes, and they're so appreciative, and they say they never feel more loved than when they go and play their old people's homes concerts. Are you sporty, Dan? You look it.
Not terribly.
No?
No, I like to be outdoors.
Yeah.
Don't have any particular sports like
Hiking, fishing.
Fishing, hiking, fishing. Yeah, but that's all
Kayaking.
good.
kayaking.
Everyone always, since what you said, everyone wants favorites. They want to know your favorite places to go on tour. Is that easy to say? New York, of course, because you're there next week, on Friday.
Switzerland.
Something warm when it's cold here.
Yes.
Love to get back to Australia.
Australia. When you went on tour there?
88.
80,
I didn't go. 80.
that's ages ago. It's about time that CSO took you back to Australia. Australia. But then in your winter, like now, that'd be really cool. How about you?
I would say Italy or France. I love the culture and the cuisine, both those countries.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Touring is one of the best parts about our jobs. Do you like to come back to Deutschland?
I do, and I like Berlin, I like Vienna, and I like Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong's fantastic. We were just there. We got to stay there for 5 days because we traveled. That was the first day of the tour, so a free day, travel day, free day, 2 concerts, and the people are just fantastic. I love Hong Kong. So why does CSO not come back to Berlin? It's about time you did.
You have to ask the conductor, I think. I think they decide that.
Okay.
Right?
Well, we went because Barenboim,
Of course,
because of the
yeah.
Easter Festival, right? And so
Those were great days, and you
Those
guys
were.
came all the
we
time.
went every year. Yeah.
We always put on a good party for you when we were there.
that's right.
Otherwise,
Yes.
it was, oh, favorite solo pieces, favorite horn concertos, favorite Mahler symphony. What,
Those are Dan's questions.
Dan, these are all for you.
That's how you started.
But one good question I saw miles and miles away. Sorry, the questions are coming in fast and furious, which I absolutely love. But somebody wanted to ask about a section playing, about everybody, section playing tips. You guys are a happy section. I get the feeling. You don't just have to say it for the cameras, but I find you a very peaceful section, and that's so important. I could not play in one of these horn sections that hate each other and make life difficult, but for me, that would be the biggest tip of playing in a horn section is get on with your fellow horn players. I mean, your job, second horn, what is your role?
Boy, it's complicated. It's not just to follow the first or just to support the first or just to transmit the message of the first to the third and the fourth. It's just to, I think what everybody's job is to provide consistency in what you do and support everybody around you. At times within the part, you might have a prominent part to lead, either volume-wise or, but you're always listening to everybody and you're just there to support. You're just there to help all the time.
Yeah.
And Jim is not just second horn. We are shorthanded, and all these guys who chooses.
Short-handed meaning you're missing one position.
Yes.
Right, there should be
Yeah.
6 of us, and there are 5 at the moment. And
So you're looking for associate, a principal horn or an associate principal? I know this is a...
we're looking for a
You're
principal.
a principal. But guys, why do you need a principal if you have Dan playing first? I wouldn't.
Dan's, you know, we don't have mandatory retirement here in America, but if we did, I'd have 2 months left.
2 months, Dan.
So,
Because with us it's 65.
yes, it's a pretty good
Yes.
time to be
He's 65.
getting,
65.
not a bad time to be getting off the first horn chair.
I can, yeah, but you sound so amazing.
So-
And he's not
so-
gonna
so
accept any of
these
these
30.
compliments. But okay, so
But
you're-
everybody does everything.
Yeah.
As my teacher, Dick Oldberg, who played third horn here
Yeah.
for a long time,
Yeah.
liked to say, everybody's job description reads the same.
Yeah.
Do what needs to be done, and everybody does.
Dale told me, gave me kind of a history of the horn section. This was even before I was in the orchestra, and he said how after he was there in this order, Tom Howell came in on assistant utility, and Norman came in that way, and Dan came in that way. And he praised everybody how they moved into their roles, but they started by understanding that you had to do everything. And he said he was so proud of the section that could.
Yeah, the little section that could. Sorry. There's a children's story called the little train that could, little engine that could. Yeah. Sorry. That actually fits you guys very well. The section that could. We're gonna rename you. I think I can. I know I can. What do you need to do in your daily practice to make sure that you can be in this section that can?
Make it fun. I do routine and I practice the fundamentals like everyone else, but I also try to push the pleasure button. I'm playing things that I think are fun. Like I'll play the first horn solo from Beethoven 6 on the F side, and it just because it sounds fun, and do some great fourth horn moments that I really enjoy. So that practicing isn't just drudgery, but something that you really look forward to make these great sounds on the instrument. So I think there has to be some element of fun to it in order to grow.
My best friend is a flute player, and I was staying with her, and I wanted to do some playing, but I didn't want to warm up. I just wanted to play. I said, do you have any flute books? I'll just play it down 3 octaves. And she gave me a beginner flute book. Beginner flute players get opera arias to play. What do we get? Ba 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 ba. So I think I think every day, no matter whether you're a beginner or a professional, you should have some sort of opera arias in your life and be able to play these tunes because, to stay fit, because you never know also what your first job was going to be. I mean, you were on you had a second horn job,
Yep.
and then what do you have to audition? How do you audition for utility? Do you audition for high or low?
Well, it was an interesting situation. The orchestra needed 2 horn players. Jim and I both won at the same time, actually. So they had 2 openings, and I think most of the list was low, if I remember correctly. There was Mozart 25, second horn, so that was a high horn excerpt. But as I recall, most of it was low, or in that realm. It wasn't anything I had to play third horn on anything. So.
Yeah. Steve says, I only play in horn section where I enjoy my co-section members. Life and music is too short to play with people who are unpleasant. Here.
Yeah.
Sometimes, of course, you have to, but I totally agree. Matson said, do you guys hang out outside of rehearsals? Obviously now with Sarah, but otherwise, yes or not that much. On Friday, we're all going to hang out together. I hope at Julie, party. Poor Julie. She's,
When we can, we try to.
We have a nice picture of you guys hanging out, literally hanging over a bridge in was that Austria? St. Petersburg. I couldn't quite tell. It looked quite Austrian in the background, actually. That's St. Petersburg. When was that?
I think that was Dale's last tour.
2012.
Dale's last tour
Was
on
it 12?
Dan's birthday.
2012.
We were going out to celebrate his birthday at
Yeah.
a restaurant that that Dave always makes the reservation for. Yeah. He's our reservation king.
Yeah, so on tour we tend to hang out more.
Yeah. At home, it's always family and busy and traffic and going on the L. And
Well, Sue and I live
We live 4 blocks.
3 or 4 blocks away
Oh,
from
that's
each other.
useful.
And we live a mile.
Yeah, here's a great story. I think this tell a lot about Dan. In December, we had Shostakovich Fifth on one night, and Thursday night was Tchaikovsky Fifth. Huge first horn solos. Wednesday, he shows up with homemade cookies for everyone. You know, so. Gosh,
that's really nice.
And that was the
That's
day
a
of
good
the
way to
brass
relax.
concert.
Yeah.
That's a good way to, I thought. Oh, that's really nice. Heidi says, do any of you sing?
Dan does.
I used to sing quite a bit, but
Barbershop, right? Barbershop.
yes,
quartet?
yes, we're a fantastic barbershop quartet. It was great fun, but one of us is in New Zealand now, another in Boston.
Oh, maybe they're watching. I think singing is, I don't sing in public if I can help it, in master classes sometimes, but voices are our most natural instrument, and if you don't know how to play something, sing it, right?
Yes.
Would you not agree? You know, we've been hanging out for an hour already. Tim, do I have to stop quite soon? Are we having a nice time? Oh, there's someone outside here saying, oh, hello. I think we're getting to the end of the Horn Hangout, sadly. This is really sad. Can we continue this, but in private then on Friday night at Julie's house? We'll just hang out some more with no. Before we go, I just want to say another word about Dale, because I discovered you guys when Dale was playing first horn, and it really is a wonderful legacy that, that he left here, and that this sound that he made. He was really, for me, one of the greatest first horns of our time. And he was the CSO sound for how many years was he here? Also
He
over
was here
47.
47.
Yes.
Yes. We were here together, we overlapped 38
Yeah.
years.
And you guys all learned so much from him, and I know he's watching right now, so I just wanted to say a chapeau to Dale, because
I wanted to say there's so many things you could say about Dale, but something that's really important is he was so in love with doing a good job all the time. It's hard to say without being emotional, on his last day of rehearsal, in a few years before that, he started to say things like, well, I might not play this piece again, or that might be the last time I play this piece. On his last day in rehearsal, he was still marking the part, and the conductor wanted something, the last rehearsal, and was still thinking the music all the way.
that must have been so emotional for you guys. That you had a wonderful tribute concert to him. I was going to say memorial concert. That's not quite the word, because he was still there.
Right.
A tribute concert, and I would have loved to have been there. But I was then after virtually. There is a wonderful Horn Hangout in the archives, your tribute to Dale, that everybody came and crowded around this little camera. Do you remember?
Yeah, it's right over here.
It was just, it was right in the corner there. I really felt like I was with you that day. So I learned a lot from Dale as well. So I was very, very grateful to have had that time. So thank you for joining us, Dale. Thank you for watching.
If I can attempt
Yes.
to summarize
Yes.
what we've inherited from Dale, you know, as horn players, we talk about all the technical challenges we have, but sometimes I think we're tempted to make compromises for the sake of the technical challenges. And what we inherited from Dale is an absolute commitment to uncompromising musicianship. And just simply that.
No shortcuts. No shortcuts.
Absolutely. No allowances for, oh, this is difficult. He tried his utmost all the time.
Well, this is one of the reasons, not only the reason, but one of the reasons why you are really, for me, one of the best horn sections in the world. And you are amazing players and fantastic people and great friends. It's been such a pleasure to see you guys again today, but it was just like yesterday. It's, we have a picture of our last meeting, which was in Sternbräu, which is a schnitzel house in Salzburg. Tim, have you got that picture for us? Where the Berlin Phil and the Chicago Symphony Horns all hung out that night. You remember, you were quite new then. It was so long ago. You were quite new. I don't think I
2011.
2011.
So I was 6 years.
You are a walking
I have it on my photos, so
Oh my
I know
goodness.
it's all gone. It's just some things I do
I'm
remember.
impressed. But that was the last time I think we saw each other in person, but it's like yesterday, and I adore you guys, and thank you so much for making the time. Thanks to the Chicago Symphony organizers for letting us do it here, and we did a little bit of advertising in the background, you may have noticed. Thank you so much. And any of you watching online still, they'll all be able to see everything you write here. So if you have any messages for these wonderful horn players, do write in and they'll get to see them when we're done. If you're around in an hour and a half, we will be back online here in the same place with Gene Picorni, principal tuba of the Chicago Symphony. What shall I ask him?
Ask them about trains.
The Three Stooges.
Ask them about
Three
trains.
Stooges.
The Three Stooges?
Those two things.
We found a great video of the Three Stooges, which we've stolen from YouTube, but will.
And Basset Hounds.
Basset Hounds. Does he still have his Basset Hounds? Okay, good. Basset Hounds. I have to get some photos. I wonder if I can get in touch with Beth and get her to send some photos. Anyway, Chicago Symphony Orchestra Horns, thank you so, so much for this wonderful hangout. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to Handsome Tim for being here, Jack behind the camera, and 5Stream for letting us use their streaming platform. And I love these hangouts, and I feel very privileged to have been here. Thank you. Dankeschön. Gracias. Thanks. See you soon. Bye, guys. Bye.